Hi creatives, and welcome back to Agency Academy. My name is Malin, and here on the channel we talk about how to build a business that truly works for you so you have more freedom to create and do the things that you love. You might have noticed that we've been a little bit less consistent with posting recently, and it's actually leading us to something quite exciting. So it's because we are currently recording in Swedish winter, which means we have a few hours of sort of daylight, which means basically no daylight. And that has made recording really, really tough. So we actually made like 3 videos that we just can't use because they're way too dark and grainy. So we decided to build a recording studio. And so I'm not sitting in it right now. This is just an improvised setup at the office at the moment. But we are currently building a new set, and we're actually making a video of how we're creating it. So we'll be showing that, and we'll be showing a reveal of the new studio, and we're creating a bunch of new exciting videos that are a bit more extensive. Things like how to work with your clients, create design systems, all of this different stuff. So I'm really excited to share it with you. That's going to come up in the next couple weeks. Because we're approaching the end of the year, I thought this might be a good time to just look at the past year and see how we can make the next one even better. So the very, very first thing I think that you should do when you start looking at the past year is to just look at everything that has gone right. What are the different things that you wanted to accomplish this year, and which ones have you actually managed to do? So celebrate everything. Have you learned a new skill? Have you got a dream project that you really, really enjoyed? Have you maybe grown your business, or maybe found a partner that works really well with you? So just think about everything that has really worked and make sure that you celebrate those wins. I think that's the first thing, because before you get into all the nitty-gritty and all the planning, it's so easy for us to just dive into the next thing and setting more goals. But I think we should wait to set the goals until the end. Next up, I think it's a good idea to just review all the projects that you've done this year. And if you have a lot of small projects, maybe this feels a little bit intimidating, but I think it's just a good idea anyway to take some time to look through all of the projects. And we're going to use a couple easy criteria just to score them each. The first one is, did you actually enjoy working on this project? And if you like, you can have a score from 1 to 10 or something like that, just to give you an idea of which ones stand out as the most enjoyable. The second one to think about is, were they in your niche? And I think this is something that is useful because it can start to help us see if there is maybe a trend of certain types of businesses that you like to work with, or that maybe you're really enjoying the things in your niche and not something outside of your niche, or maybe the other way around and it's time to switch. So just have a look at, is it actually in your niche? Next up, of course, we need to look at if the project was profitable. Was it on budget? Did it take more time than expected? Did it go faster and it was actually really good and enjoyable and it was actually very profitable? So just have a look at what you charged and if that felt like a fair amount. Next up, I want you to ask if it was a good project for your portfolio. Sometimes we do work that just isn't that exciting to put on our portfolio, but it pays the bills, and that's totally fine. And sometimes we have projects that maybe we take on for less money, but they're just a really, really good portfolio project. And that's also kind of valuable. So I think that it's good to take that into account. So was it good for your portfolio? Are you excited and proud to share it? Will it get you more work like this in the future? And lastly, I think it's good to think about, did this client in this project bring you either repeat business, which is super valuable because it brings the lifetime value of the client much, much higher, or did they maybe refer you to someone, which is also super valuable because that means that you're getting more work into the business without having to do a bunch of marketing. So looking at if there was repeat business and if they referred you to someone. And if they were projects that you just did, this can be a bit hard to know, but maybe you can get a sense of how happy they were and how social they seem to be and active online. So now that we've reviewed the projects, I think it's a good idea to look at these scores, and you could do a 1 to 10 for each of these different criteria, and just look at which ones were the best type of projects, and were the majority of your projects really high scores, or were you feeling like most of your projects, they weren't that enjoyable, they weren't that profitable, and in that case, that's something you can really look at for next year. But if you feel like most of them are enjoyable and most of them are profitable, then you can just start fine-tuning, if you want to get a certain type of project a little bit more, how can you tweak your marketing? So just using this information of the type of projects that you have and how good projects they were to set goals for next year. And now that we looked at the projects, I think it's time to look at everything that you wish you had time for that you just didn't have time for. So we all have these things because a lot of times client work, it really takes priority, and we have lots of things that we want to get done but we never get to them. So like I've been working on my website a lot this year, but it's not finished and I really want it to be finished next year. So my website might be one. I'm launching a print shop, so that's something that I really want to finish and put more time into. So maybe you have something similar. It could be things like passion projects, or even something like learning a new skill, or being more on top of your accounting. It could be anything that you feel like, oh, I really wish that I had more time for this, and that I just feel like it's not so stressful around the other things. So what are things that you really want to get done in the next year? And knowing this can also help a little bit with prioritizing and setting goals for how your schedule is going to look next year. If you feel like there's never any time for marketing, perhaps you need to do some sort of batch creation and schedule that. Let's say every Tuesday you batch create and then you schedule it, and then you don't have to think about it. So thinking about the problems and then the solutions that we can have for them. Before we actually create the goals, I think it's also really good to think about things that felt uncomfortable or stressful, things that you just feel like, I don't want to keep doing this or move forward with this into the next year. And that can either be things like the deadlines are super short, I was stressed, I didn't like the type of work that I was doing, or maybe it's money related, like you feel like you're not making enough money, you're not collaborating with enough of people that you really want to collaborate with. Just things that you feel like, this wasn't working, I really need these things to work for me to have a good time at work, a good work experience. And so think about those things, the annoying, the painful, the stressful things that you want to get rid of. So now finally we got to actually setting goals for the next year. And I usually like to divide these up into 4 categories. The first one is just purely financial. And I think a lot of us, especially working in creative industries, we don't like to put finances first. And, in many ways I am the same, but it is very important when you're running a business to make sure that the finances are solid and are working. So first category is finances. The next one is work environment. So just making sure you enjoy work, have a nice time, it's not stressful, it's creatively fulfilling. So work environment. The next one is passion projects, things that excite you, things that you don't do for clients, but either can be for passive income, or it can be things like just things that make you feel creatively fulfilled. So anything that's a passion project. And the fourth one is learning. So I think that learning is something that often comes last when we put list of priorities. But actually learning is not only going to make us feel more motivated and excited about work, but it also makes us better at creating, and it makes us faster at creating, which makes us more money. So everything sort of is like tied together. But learning, so it can be taking classes, it can be drawing every day, anything that you feel is going to help your skills as a creative. I think it's a good idea to set up goals in each of these categories on different time scales. So maybe you're doing a yearly goal, like maybe you're trying to finish your website next year. That could be something that is a yearly goal. You could also have then quarterly goals. So something that you're thinking like, I need to do the wireframes, but in the first 3 months, in the first quarter, I need to create all the assets in the second one, for example, and start building in the last 2. So think about how you can break the goals up. And of course, you can get as granular as you want, but I think that it's good to have goals maybe every month, but don't set goals for like every day, because that's way too stressful. I think that it's maybe on a weekly basis is okay. Just make sure that the goals feel realistic and are not something that is going to add a lot of extra stress. The idea of this type of planning and setting goals is that you're taking away a lot of the frustrating thinking work, or the thinking that makes you feel stressed about not having control of what's happening in your business. So you want an actionable plan that also feels easy to implement. So that brings us to our very last thing, which is for each of the goals, you need to say a how. If you're saying that I need to get more clients, you need to have a plan for how you're going to have more clients. Otherwise, it's only something that is going to feel stressful on your schedule. I created a bit of a template that you can go download from our blog, so I put the link in the description. I always feel like a template is useful and just nice to get started, especially if you feel a bit unsure what different goals you want to set. I really, really hope this was helpful, and I personally love planning, so I know that's not true for everyone. If I have any fellow sort of like planning lovers, maybe you drop like a star emoji or something down in the comments. But for everyone, I really hope this was a helpful video, and if you like the video, make sure to like it, and if you enjoy this type of content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we post everything about working with clients and running your creative business. And thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your planning. I'll see you next time.